What's up? I said that I was deleting all socials, which is true, except I am going to download YouTube again after this video to upload this. I just felt the need to talk, and I did journal about it somewhat. I journaled today, but I wanted to just talk about it in a video because it kind of helps me like freely express my thoughts and stuff. But I had a really deep transformative talk with my grandpa today. In the past I've posted on social media about how I felt like my grandpa had emotionally neglected me because like I didn't feel like I had the emotional support that I needed as a kid. But I don't know. And then a while ago I went to the cemetery. It was when I reconnected with my dad. I was kind of motivated to because of an older man I was dating at the time, and because of ChatGPT, forcing myself to kind of have empathy for him and look at the situation in a different light at the time that I was living with my dad. And he came down and visited me in Utah for a week, and we talked about everything, and I just felt like the overwhelming urge to, I guess, go to the cemetery, and so I did. And I sat there and I talked with my mom, and I wrote a poem, and it was like she was there with me, like I could feel it spiritually. And then I really felt like this need to go and talk to my grandpa and forgive him for not only what happened with my mom, but for what happened with me. And I'm grateful that I did that, even though I'm looking at things differently today than I was, a couple months ago, which is normal. And I'm grateful for that because it led to the conversation that I had with my grandpa today, which was that people are really just doing the best you can, and when someone deals with something as heavy as heroin and those types of addictions, same with my uncle and my aunt, like there's really only so much you can do. And it's not the same, but I've dealt with like my own depressive like mental cycles and with self-harm, and no matter how much love that other people can have for you in their life, it's like it just takes hold of you, and it's like you're seeking something more from what it gives you. You're trying to find more of yourself in it. And no matter how much somebody loves you, you have to be the one to break the cycle, and you have to be the one that wants more for yourself. And it's to a much more intense degree with drugs like heroin or pills and everything. So it's just hard because my mom got started on things very young, but I also kind of understand now that my grandpa was really just doing the best that he could, and that includes that he was doing the best he could with me, and it's not somebody's fault for not having the skills or the preparation to know how to deal with those things. And like I just kind of realized or whatever, like he was there for me through everything, like every program, like at school, like all the extracurricular like and activities, like everything that I did, like my grandpa was there, and he's like supporting me financially with like insurance and being able to live at my aunt's house like rent free now that I'm 19. Like he just truly does like so much for me. Like it kind of just helps me, I guess, realize and put things into perspective. But like it's not anybody's fault that I didn't have that emotional support that I needed as a kid. And it was just like I kind of tried to put all of these pieces together of like this jumbled story from all these different accounts of people's life into a narrative that made sense to me. And lately I've just been kind of challenged to view that from a different perspective, and hearing other people's telling of the story and trying to find my own story. But being able to hear my grandpa and listen to what he had to say really helped me navigate that and build onto that story. But it's really hard because my mom's dead, and so it's like this huge like gap, like there's just this hole in the center of everything that's like this is the account I need. But obviously she's dead, and so I can only I'm limited in what I can learn about why everything happened the way that it happened. But at the end of the day, it's like it's never really going to completely make sense. And I think that there isn't a right or wrong perspective. I think that it's just the way that people choose to believe their perceptions and what that means for them, and that includes myself. Like I don't think that people necessarily went around about it wrong, like my mom or my grandpa or my dad. Like of course everybody could have done more, but like everybody could do more at the end of the day. Like I could do more. Like everybody is just always trying to do better than they're currently doing, and I like to believe that because I don't want to believe something else. It's just weird. It feels like a lot to process, and lately it just feels like I'm in this kind of transitionary stage of life where like I have this bitter, expansive, complex understanding of why I do things the way I do things and why things work the way that they work. But like, in a sense, it also doesn't mean anything, I guess. Like, I can choose to believe those things, but like, I just think about it too much, and then it kind of becomes overwhelming. And it's also just realizing that like I'm young and I have like so much time to figure this stuff out. Like, I'm 19, and like, yeah, people have it a lot more figured out than I do now, but like, you can't compare yourself to those things. And I think that something that my family really carries, and like, it just kind of helped me realize like I'm not alone in that, is like guilt. And a lot of it is survivor's guilt that's from trauma, but also just like your own guilt for wishing that you could do more, or wishing that you hadn't said or done certain things. And I have my own guilt about things that I've done in the past, like a way I handled a breakup, for example. Like, I carried that guilt and that sadness for so long that it became me, and I never really looked outside of the perspective. It was like I was on the inside, and when you're on the inside of something, you can't see it from the outside, and so you just try and make sense of it all. But now I kind of better understand, like, now that I'm able to kind of look on the outside, and I'm older now, it's like I kind of have a bigger picture and a better understanding of things. And you really can't blame yourself for not having a better understanding of things at the time. It doesn't excuse those actions, but all that matters is that you try not to do those things anymore, and you try to learn from your mistakes. But holding on to that guilt can only hold you back. And sometimes, like, I don't know, I feel like people fall into two different cycles. Like, one is where you're very anxious and you think about the future and you have so much momentum that you don't know how to stop, to slow things down and to process and to feel and just breathe. And then there's another where you become so depressed that you have a really, really hard time getting that momentum, and you're so fixated on the past that you just get in this mental loop of like feeling hopeless and trapped, like you're not able to do anything. And it's all about finding that balance. And I guess sometimes I like just like, and I have been through a lot, and I think that it's important to recognize like all the trauma that I went through, and like all of the things that I saw as a child that like I shouldn't have had to see, and all of the things that I felt so young that I shouldn't have had to feel, but like I did at the end of the day. And like, it's okay to acknowledge that like it did affect me, and like it still affects me to this day. Like, even if I don't think about it, or even if it doesn't haunt me, or even if I don't have these super psychological, warped, fucked up dreams about the trauma, like, you know, it still happened, and it affects your functioning. Like, it affects this all or nothing perspective that I'm trying to reframe. And sometimes I just don't really feel like I have the motivation for life, I guess. Like, I don't know. But then I just think about how I could never ever do anything to hurt those people that love me like that. Even when everything feels overwhelming and hopeless, and like I know too much, but I also know too little at the same time, and I feel nothing, but I also feel everything all at once. That I can't resort to those things that don't make anything better, and you can't just end it like that. So it's just kind of taking one day at a time, I guess, when you feel like you don't exist, or like you don't want to exist. You exist anyway. And that's the story of life, is to just fucking learn from things, I guess. I don't know. I like to believe that everybody's doing the best they can, even if it doesn't feel like it, even if it doesn't look like it, even if you don't think you are. I don't know, bro. That's just life. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Bye. I hope if you watch this, you have a good night.